so tonight, obviously, berries, fruits, nuts, seeds, mushrooms, because Dave touched on most of these in his presentation, but as you've seen over the past couple weeks, especially the berries, and we'll touch on the berries, and all these other things are just great for all these different diseases we've talked about. So, these are the recipes that you're tasting right now, and I'll talk about the recipes at the end. So when we talk about berries and fruits, so first, what is a fruit? Technically, a fruit is the sweet and fleshy product of a tree or other plant that contains seed and it can be eaten as food. So, there's a lot of things that actually fall in that category that sometimes we call vegetables, so we won't worry about it, okay? They're both good for you, if it's a vegetable or fruit, they're both good, okay? So, berries, when we talk about berries, they're small, round, juicy fruit without a stone or pit. And when we talk about berries, one thing to keep in mind is that usually we're pulling those out because, like we touched on before, we've got lots of antioxidants in them. So you've probably heard Dave talking about it. So why berries in particular? Cancer, okay? Immune system, liver and the brain, and Dave will be talking about the brain next week. We'll be covering Alzheimer's and the brain. Heart disease, we talked about a couple weeks ago. And berries of the fruits are probably the best of the fruits because they're the highest in the antioxidants. So they're going to be fruit good, berries like super good, okay? So when you think about it, because what do you think about when we eat those berries? They're usually very colorful, got a lot of color, that color antioxidants. So we're gonna try to increase our berries, and this just gives you an idea when they go in and measure antioxidants, there's certain units they measure them in. And if you look at an apple, about 60. If you look at blackberries, 650, okay, of the antioxidant units. So a big difference there, a tenfold increase in terms of that. And this is per like gram or per 10 grams of these items. So it's comparing by weight. So just keep that in mind. So berries, a lot of antioxidants. So strawberries, obviously, more than an apple, okay? And if you think about color of an apple, color of a strawberry, blueberries, blackberries. So you often hear people talking about, oh, blueberries are really good for you, and the reason is because it does increased antioxidants. Flaxseed, Dave just touched on this in terms of breast cancer and prostate cancer, also seems to be protective against high blood pressure as well. I know that out there's some information, people think the ground flaxseed has to be like ground and then eaten, but it does seem to have a fairly long shelf life, so at least 4 months. So you can buy flaxseed at the store and eat it over time. You don't have to grind it every day, yeah.
How do you know if it's not good anymore? Is it mold or something, or?
Tastes rancid.
It'll start to kind of get that off rancid. So what'll happen is over time the oils can break down and go rancid.
Okay.
And so kind of like if you've got oil that sits around too long, it's kind of that same, I don't know how to explain that kind of rancid, musty stuff. But most flaxseed that if you buy it in the store in a sealed bag, it's gonna be fine until you open that bag because it's protected. It's under a vacuum or under modified atmospheric conditions so that breakdown can't occur until you open that bag.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What the difference between brown and golden?
Brown and golden flaxseed,
It's just, they're different varieties. Brown is I mean, the golden is probably gonna have a few more phytonutrients just because it's a different color. But, yeah, they're both very healthy.
Yeah,
And I can't tell you what the phytonutrient difference is.
yeah. Nuts and seeds, so if you're trying to lose weight, you're not going to eat a lot of nuts and seeds. But for the most part, we encourage at least a little bit of nuts and seeds because they have been seen to extend the lifespan. There was a study done, the Globe and Burden of Disease study, and nuts have also been associated with less risk of stroke. Walnuts seem to be the most beneficial in terms of cancer. And that, when you talk about nuts and seeds, they're very high. They're one of the few plant foods that are fairly caloric in terms of, like, if you look at that spreadsheet that we gave you way back at the beginning, or if you look in that Jumpstart guide that I sent you the first week, you'll see that most of our vegetables are up in the 500 calories or less per pound, but nuts and seeds are much more caloric. But you don't need much to get the benefits, so you're only talking about a small amount of the nuts. They do help, they do have fat in them, they're one of the sources of fat in a plant-based diet that can help with the vitamins that are fat soluble. So mushrooms are great, okay? If you can tolerate them, they have lots of nutrients, protein, fiber, selenium, the B vitamins, potassium, zinc. They're just a power food. They're not actually a plant. There's a fungus. If you want to get real technical and be a biologist, you can draw all the different, you know, plants are one way, animals another, and then you've got the fungus, okay? They're just good for you, okay? So.
And here's something that'll surprise you. There's more iron in an ounce of a mushroom than in an ounce of beef.
Yeah.
Beef.
So they have a lot of benefits. Dave will be touching on mushrooms a little bit with the brain health, but obviously immune system, blood pressure, weight loss, heart health, gut health, pretty much everything we've been touching on all before, mushrooms can also do, even though they're not technically a plant, okay?
You know, there's a big push on Facebook with that. It's a coffee drink that's made from mushrooms. You know, it's to replace your coffee permitting. Have you guys heard of that?
I have not.
I'm not that familiar with it. I'd look at it because it's gonna be processed. I don't know how it's processed or what additives have been added to it. So, I mean, unfortunately, sometimes when they process these things, they're not as beneficial because they've taken out the fiber or they've taken out other beneficial materials, or they process them to the point that you lose some of the natural product. I don't know how they've been processed, so. Fruit, okay, raw, dried, cooked, any way you want them. In terms of when you're talking about fruit, raw, really you should rinse your fruit before you eat it, unless you're picking it straight off the vine and eating it. Just make sure the birds haven't pooped on it. Dried, you can dry it in a dehydrator, you can dry it in an oven, you can cook them. So some of our fruits were cooked tonight, like the apple cinnamon. So this makes a really good topping for oatmeal, or for other items, if you like stuff like that. You had a lot of dried fruit tonight because I wanted to just give you an example. Dried fruit, the one thing about dried fruit again is if you're trying to lose weight, it's not the best thing to eat because it doesn't have all the water along with the fruit. And like if I eat an apple, I'm gonna be much more satisfied than if I eat a dried apple because I'm getting that water at the same time. And actually that structure seems to be more fulfilling too. So, you can't just drink the same equivalent of water with a dried apple and say it's as satisfying. So actually it fills you up more if you eat the thing. But when you're traveling or when you're hiking and you need some good energy, these are mulberries. These are white mulberries that are dried. They're the one thing I have not found easily locally, so I buy these online. Costco, okay, the white bag versus, who said the white bag? Okay, the white bag versus the black bag, okay. The white bag, if you look on the back of it, will have more than one ingredient. The black bag only has one ingredient, mangoes, okay. Mangoes are nice when you're hiking or you have a real sweet tooth. I did bring an actual processed food, guys. This is a processed food. But guess what? I can say all the ingredients in this food: dates, almonds, apples, walnuts, raisins, and cinnamon. Guess what? I can pronounce everything in this food, okay? I can pronounce everything. There's nothing added to it, no preservatives, no stuff I don't want to eat. So,
But you have to read the labels with the Lara bars.
Right,
They are
yeah.
now made by General Mills, and they are starting to sneak some stuff in.
yeah,
So not all their varieties are as simple as that.
that. But there's like one, the cashew cookie, that is basically cashews and dates, 2 ingredients. So, these are kind of our hiking supply, because again, these are not low calories, so most of these have about 200 calories per item, but they're a good source if you are, you know, wanting to pack in some good energy without carrying a lot of stuff. They're great for traveling again, or stash one in your desk when you're tempted to eat that stupid candy that somebody put out at the table. You can eat that instead. What other items here? The dates, these are just dried, these are med jewel dates. So there's a couple different types of dates out there. The med jewels are a little sweeter than the, I think it's like the Del something or other, or don't, I forget exactly, but it starts with a D, the other type of date. But any date is good. I use the dates in small quantities, again, for the, oh shoot, somebody's just put out a bunch of cookies, sort of thing. Cause they tend to be fairly sweet. This is
That's good.
do you guys like that?
Yeah.
It's, again, this is nuts, so it's fairly caloric, but it works really nicely as a topping on stuff. It's meant to be kind of a substitute for cheese. It's got nutritional yeast and nuts in it, and a little bit of seasoning. So this is the Brazil nut parm. And they call for a spice blend that's in his cookbook, the How Not to Diet cookbook, but you can just use any sort of no salt spice mix. We actually make up the spice mix. It takes about 12 different ingredients, or if I don't have all 12, I just add in whatever I have around. But it's just, it provides a little bit of nice flavor for stuff. You have the cinnamon apple. I didn't put the nuts on top of it, but you could put walnuts on top of it if you wanted to. So what did you guys think of this one, the mushroom?
Good.
It was zingy.
It's got quite a bite to it. It works really nice in like tacos or burritos or something. Maybe you're mixing in with lettuce and some other veggies, and it works nicely in it. We use it a lot, just throwing it on top of our soup or whatever we're having that night. Mushroom crumbles. What's the ingredient that you notice in here? Look at the ingredient list.
Onions?
What? There's a very distinctive ingredient in here that you may have noticed the flavor of. look at the recipe.
Mushroom wall.
It has a fennel, okay? So it has fennel seed in it. So it's, that gives it kind of that, it's just got a little bit of, if you think about it, and you can come back and taste more too. This works really nice as a topping on a variety of different things. I like actually throwing it on salad, for a little bit of just flavor. Mango raspberry chia pudding,
Oh, that was good.
5 minutes.
Really?
That's all it takes. You don't necessarily have to use mango and raspberry. I would advise some sort of fairly sweet fruit along with that berry. So you could use a berry blend and then, something like, pineapple mix sort of thing. You can buy raspberries, you can buy mangoes for like $3 a pound in the frozen food section. I just use the frozen, cause I don't usually have the fresh sitting around, and I'm not willing to take my fresh raspberries to do anything but eat them, okay? If I'm gonna pay for fresh raspberries, I'm gonna eat them right then and there. I'm not going to put them in something,
And
okay?
this measurement is the chia seeds already ground.
What?
The chia seeds, they're already ground, right?
The
Yeah.
chia seeds, I don't
4
grind
tablespoons.
them,
Oh, you
yeah,
don't?
yeah, they're so small, I just mix them in. I mean, I guess you could try to grind them,
You can tell
it'd be
it.
pretty hard, they're so
I
small.
do grind mine,
Yeah.
I just
I
We're
just
not
throw
sure
them
if we
into
need to
the-
grind them to get the nutrition or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Historically,
I
the
just
answer has
keep
been
it-
no, but now they're starting to think, well, maybe we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the chia seed is really in this mixture to serve the role of making that into
Right. like
a
jelly.
firmer
Right.
jelly-like substance, cause the chia seeds absorb water and they create that more of a pudding-like substance, so that's why you're using chia seeds in this one. So ice cream,
Oh, that was good.
which ones did you guys like, or did you try more than one of them?
I'm glad that the taste of the, I'm on the right, it was different and yummy.
This one? So this is the vanilla, yeah, and it's just basically bananas and soy milk and a little bit of vanilla. So it doesn't take much. We always take all of our bananas that have sat out a little bit longer and they could just go in the freezer.
Yeah.
Along with any other fruit that starts to like, if we get too many strawberries and they start to get a little soft, I just cut off any parts and then throw them in the freezer and then they become nice cream.
But all those
So-
bananas that you always see at the stores, that they're like, 10 cents a pound, cause they're black. They're the
We've
ones you
bought
wanna
those
get.
before.
Yeah.
I see less and less of those.
But do peel them before you throw them in the freezer, cause it's almost impossible to peel them after they're frozen.
Oh,
We
yeah.
did try that.
Do it one time, never hear the end of it.
That experience. Good to know.
So, let me just finish up my slide, Charlie. Really, anything, you can throw nuts, seeds on anything. Fruit, you can throw into smoothies, you can throw into your breakfast, you can throw into your lunch. We had that salad last week with the apple in it, and the barley. Yeah.
Celery.
You could actually throw some berries in there as well if you wanted to, topping, snacks, combining. Mushrooms, obviously salads, main dishes, and in this case, a lot of toppings as well. So different ways to put mushrooms in, but questions on all these?
Oh, I don't know, I think in the past you used to hear a lot about combining beans and rice.
Yeah,
Are there other rules of combining?
no, beans and rice work well, and then throw some mushrooms on top, and if you want to, some nuts and seeds, I mean, so the main thing is that you're trying to get a variety, so, And we'll kind of touch on that in the last class too, in terms of eating a variety. So trying to incorporate a lot of different things into what you're doing and what you're eating. So that you're not only eating, you know, dates, or you're not only eating,
Spinach and tomatoes.
Right.
what?
You know, my husband will eat spinach and tomatoes.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I mean, as we
Yeah.
talk about all along, but, and we'll really hit it the last day is, you know, just keep eating the rainbow. I mean, if it's a plant, it's probably gonna be good for you, okay? You
So
know,
you said you don't know what combination of those good things are really.
I never stopped to think about it. I mean, we just mix it, you know, I put a whole bunch of different stuff on my plate or in the bowl and, you know, munch away.
A new recipe.
Yeah, just assuming at the end of the day that, you know, I'm getting a lot of nutrients.
Yeah.
I found like I take a day or two, like usually Saturday, a little bit, and Sunday, and I just make a bunch of stuff, and then I freeze it.
Yeah, and we'll be,
Because if you go shopping, like for some of these recipes, I mean, that's a lot of.
yeah,
It's a
so
lot of
we don't
stuff,
cook
right?
during the week. Dave and I do not cook during the week. We only cook on weekends, for the most part. And we batch cook, and we'll be kind of touching on that in the last class as well, how you do some of that. These guides are really good about talking about how to do this sort of more plant-based eating as well, but we cook everything in bulk and freeze. So I freeze this mushroom stuff tonight. I've frozen the crumble before, but usually we don't have enough of it to worry about freezing. Obviously the ice cream, so the apple stuff I freeze, so we freeze pretty much all the stuff, all of our grains are frozen. So we freeze rice, we freeze barley, we freeze all of our grain mixes, so, yeah.
What do you think about popcorn? You don't add the butter, if you just eat.
Popcorn's great, it's actually a whole grain, as long as you don't use those bags of chemicals. If you just have air pop popcorn, people actually take air pop popcorn and spray it with a little bit of either vinegar or water and put nutritional yeast to mix it in with that if you want a little bit of flavor on it. Or
I use garlic powder.
garlic powder, they will use garlic on anything, so, you know, it depends on how much the people around you love garlic. I love Dave, so, but,
Do you ever
yeah,
smell like
yeah.
garlic?
So,
Not that I
Have
can
too
tell.
much, you know?
Dave can never have too much garlic, so,
Where
yeah.
did you say that, there was a link, was it fork over knives on arthritis, eating for, if you have arthritis, that makes the symptoms less? Did you
Oh,
say
did we
something?
not,
Did we not send, I thought you sent that out.
I don't think I sent the
Oh.
link, I'll send it this week,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Cause
Yeah.
you know what I mean, eating good,
Yeah, it's
help with
it's a
arthritis.
separate link. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
sheet that
separate
that I
link.
make up for my patients that I
Yeah,
come to.
yeah, we'll send it out to you this week, but, you know,
Any arthritis.
if you haven't jumped on the links, and I'll send these all out again this week, but you know, this guide put out by the American College of Lifestyle Medicine is really good about some of the different ways to incorporate plant foods into your diet, and it's got some good recipes in it, as well as just kind of overall ideas, and we'll kind of touch on that in the last class. This is the link I sent you this last week. It's got some good information in it. And then, this is Dr. Greger's little guide as well, that I sent you a couple weeks ago, but I'll send them all out again. They kind of have good introductory information in them in terms of the stuff. But we'll strategize in the last class as well. So we'll kind of go over a lot of different techniques to eat more plants.
How
'Cause
many
that's-
classes do we have left?
We have 2 more classes, so next week is brain health.
Brain health, yeah, then you're gonna do herbs.
And I'm gonna talk about herbs and spices and beverages, so, yeah. And then the last week will be putting it all together in our potluck, so, yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week, so.
And while Nina was talking, I did look up the mushroom coffee. Evidently, it's been around since like right after the war, but anyway, it's kind of a way to get people people are using it to reduce the amount of caffeine, all right? It looks healthy if all you're having is the mushroom powder and the coffee, but it's like coffee, if you start putting all the syrups and the milk and God knows what else in it, then it's a lot less healthy, so.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, hey, it's another way to get mushrooms in, so it's,
Well, I mean, the other stuff.
oh, yeah.
Sweeteners and.
Yeah, I mean, all that other stuff, I mean, yeah, it makes you taste good, but you can get 1,200 calories out of that thing.
Oh, some of those,
I can't afford that.
if you are a person who likes to drink, you know, like a coffee from Starbucks or something, look it up online and see the calories in that item you are choosing, because a lot of those are anywhere from 600 to 900 calories, those coffee drinks. Because of all the sugar that they add in them, there's an incredible amount of sugar in some of those. When they put 3 or 4 pumps of syrup in them, it adds up quickly, yeah.
I'm just gonna add, like, my daughter when she's going through college, she worked at Starbucks, and she used to bring home, like, the syrups and all this stuff. They get rid of stuff there at the top of day, right? And I started looking at that, oh my gosh. And I used to drink the matcha latte, I thought I was doing something healthy, right, you know? I looked, 40 grams of sugar.
Yeah,
In the big one, but.
Right.
In the big
right.
one, yeah.
So it's like the worst combination of
Right.
milk and
Well,
sugar.
it's even worse, it gets even worse, okay? Because it's a liquid, it doesn't trigger the hunger receptors in your stomach, so you still feel hungry. Yeah, you get 1,200 calories, you don't get 1,200 calories of satiation.
Maybe.
That's why when we talk about beverages next week, we'll touch on, a lot of sugar sweetened beverages as well, because unfortunately, liquid calories are not the same as eating your calories.
They still
So-
count.
So we'll be touching on juice and everything, so.
Question?
Yeah,
On a totally different note, I saw that Garden Works has purple seed potatoes.
purple sweet potatoes or
Seed
purple?
potatoes.
Seed
Oh, yes,
potatoes,
oh, yes, oh, yeah, we
they're
grow them
going
every year.
Yeah.
Are they in already?
Are they what?
Are they in?
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, they're already there,
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh.
gosh, they're
They
gonna go
sent
fast.
an email out, so.
yeah. I know that
I'll
they're
get there
planning to
Friday.
get them, I'm not sure they're already
Oh,
there,
okay,
but,
I missed
yeah,
that.
I know they're
That's right.
planning to stock them, so.
yeah,
But
and
I'll
normally
have
they
to
show up
check
in
it out.
April,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna be able to plant them until the end of April, because the ground's gonna be frozen until.
But I highly recommend those purple potatoes if you have room to grow. I mean, they're wonderful. You can grow some red onions too, then you can make purple onion soup. Very patriotic.
Other questions for tonight? Yeah,
I just had a statement. Somebody last week was looking at the salad dressing shaker. I saw one today randomly at Real Foods. It's in the meat aisle at the end. It's on the top shelf and it's green instead of black. It was $12.
oh, okay, those shakers,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. I've seen them around,
I'm sure
where was
they're
I the other
other
day?
places.
Yeah.
I think I got ours at TJ Maxx or Ross or something.
Yeah, they're fairly popular,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll just see them around, but, yeah. Okay, so, if there's no more questions, that's it for tonight. You know, dessert week is over, but